bands of all-time Pink Floyd. Yep. He is now on a world tour performing The Wall in one of the most elaborate shows ever staged. We're thrilled he's here. Please welcome Roger Waters. Very cool to have you here. The first thing that's most striking to me is I have met so many iconic British rock stars. You are extremely tall for a British rock star. They are a tiny lot, most of them, that I have met. The Who's Roger Daltrey. I interviewed him in the palm of my hand. He was about 4 inches high. How tall are you?
Not quite as tall as you.
Very good. Yes, we don't allow that on the show.
You're very tall for a talk show host, if I might say.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Well, that's like 80% hair.
I know that.
It's puffed up. You, of course, have had an indelible impact on so many people's lives. Growing up, listening to your music, and then I remembered in high school, the immortal phrase that got drilled into my mind, how can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? And it got into my head, and I don't know about you, Andy, I could never hear the word pudding after that without suddenly yelling, how can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? Which people didn't look kindly on.
No.
They thought I was an idiot and a fool, as you do now.
So you are grown up then, as far as you know?
No, I'm horribly damaged, yeah. We don't know what's wrong with me.
I could actually do that if you want now.
What can you do?
If you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? Thank you, friend.
Now, can you do it on my answering machine?
I'd be delighted.
That's amazing to hear. It must be strange for you to just constantly be meeting people who just your music is in their DNA practically. Do you know what I mean? They just know every single song. They know every single, and obviously you didn't approach it that way. You were just making stuff in the studio.
Yeah, well, you know, it's been a long career, and a lot of people have listened to the work, and so, yeah, I often meet people that the work means something to. Funnily enough, the shows I'm doing now, half-time in every show, I meet the vets, because I invite a bunch of vets to every show, and at half-time I go and meet them in a hospitality suite backstage, and so many of them have been listening to music, and they've taken it into battle, and it means a lot to them, and they cling to it, so I'm very proud of that fact.
I think that'd be very meaningful for you to get to... You wrote The Wall, it's 30 years ago now, or a little over 30 years ago, and you began with the idea of a wall because, I don't know if this is true, but I'd always heard that you almost wanted to build a physical wall between you and the audience, and that's how you work backwards from that concept. Is that true?
That is absolutely true, Conan. That's what I did all those years ago. I don't know why, but I've gone into a wee Scottish accent.
I like it. I can't wait to hear your bagpipe solo.
I can't wait to hear your Irish brogue. I assume you are Irish.
Oh, yeah, mine is just the Lucky Charms elf. It's a caricature.
Yeah, well, to answer your question more seriously, all those years ago, we did a lot of stadium shows with Pink Floyd, and I became rather disaffected from that and felt a barrier between myself and the audience because people seem to mainly be there to drink a lot of beer and shout and scream. And
we get that here too. Yeah.
I can imagine. Yes, I can see.
Yeah. That we're building a wall now between us. We'll be done by the end of the week.
Well, anyway, the thought occurred to me one day that it might be an intriguing idea theatrically to actually construct a barrier across the front of the stage between a rock group and the audience to express these feelings of alienation that I had. So I drew a picture of that on a piece of paper, and that was actually the start of the germ of the idea, and then I had to fill in with the story and songs.
You work backwards from there.
Yeah. Actually, I worked forwards.
You work forwards, yes. My apologies.
Not
I don't
at all.
understand music. Why, you feel like the wall has more significance now than it did when you wrote it? Do you feel like it's particularly resonant now, or why now? Does it have a different meaning for you?
Well, if anybody wants the long, proper answer to that, you can go to my website, rogerwaters.com, and there is actually, you can press a button and it says, why am I doing the wall again now? So, and it's long. But in short...
That's a new way to do talk shows.
Thank you.
I love that. I ask a question, go to the website. Next question. That's a new way to do it. I love that. How do I get health insurance?
When I wrote the piece, I knew he'd leave a gap eventually, so I could answer the question.
I don't often do it, yeah.
When I wrote the piece, it was sort of about lots of personal problems of mine and about the death of my father and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But now, 30 years later, I see barriers between us and the truth of the reality of our lives that need to be taken down, and barriers between different nations and different religions and different political ideologies. And so the show that I'm doing now has become much broader than the one that I did back in 79 and 80.
Well, it clearly continues to resonate more than ever. I was curious if there's been talk, which I thought, I didn't know how to react to this, that the wall might be adapted to Broadway. I heard that and I didn't know how to feel about that. You know, I had a hard time picturing a chorus line going, another brick in, you know, it was, I mean, obviously it wouldn't be that, but...
No, it wouldn't.
Think about it.
Though again, on this tour, in every city that we visit, we find kids who do after-school kind of programs, usually not from the most affluent neighborhoods in town. And I have about 20 of them on stage, and they sing Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. And we work with them every day before the show.
I saw you at a benefit.
Ah, that was different.
A number of years ago, I saw you at a benefit, and you used a lot. It was beautiful, though. You used a lot of children.
Yeah, that was somewhat different. That was Save the Music, a VH1.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great night, though.
Yeah, I was working with an orchestra from school in the Bronx, and they were amazing, those kids.
Well, you should get more information about Roger and the Wall. For the tour, go to rogerwaters.com, as he mentioned, and just a real honor to have you here. Thank you much for doing this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is great. Roger Waters. We'll be right back. Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zero. Stick around.